Padres Hot Tub is more than a podcast. It is a podcast. Congratulations, you found the podcast. This is a thing. You're not being gaslit. This is a real thing. You are listening to a podcast. However, Padres Hot Tub is more than that. It's a community. Padres Hot Tub is filling a suite at Petco Park. Padres Hot Tub is breaking baseball cards and getting people together in the shared pursuit of glory in baseball card collection. Padres Hot Tub is a fantasy community where people are facing relegation and seeking promotion on a 5-tiered league that is something unlike anything you've ever seen in fantasy baseball, and so much more. It's a Discord community where you can actually hang out and not be everything you put up replied with nudes in bio by 6 porn bots from Slovakia.
You have to opt into that.
That is correct. That's at a much higher level. And we can talk about it if you want. But bottom line, you can be a part of this community. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. If you like the show, if you like what we do, if you've enjoyed the show on the free feed for years and you've just clicked through the commercials, awesome, good on you. But thanks for listening to this. And if you'd like to consider supporting us, go to patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Check it out and see what we can do. Padres Hot Tub, everybody. It's Craig, it's Chris, it's Raphie here. We're late. It's Tuesday night. We're in a weird spot. This is going to be a weird show. We had fit this nice rhythm where we were at the end of a series and going into the week, and kind of we were in a set spot. And then I had soccer's followed by Passover. And now here it is Tuesday night. We're halfway through a Rockies series. It's half good, half bad. We're 26 games into a season that's half good, half bad. It's 13-13. I'm in a weird place, and I say good evening to you, gentlemen.
Man, what a lead-in. Now I feel even weirder now that you've gone into the numerology of the situation. My goodness. I am doing well, Craig. I'm happy that I got to go to a baseball game this weekend with everybody. That was fantastic. That can lift my spirits for quite some time, and it has done so.
Yeah, there's something about being 13-13 specifically. It's like the 13 is a bad luck number, so it's like there's a spooky no.
I just figured it out. Literally, as you said, numerology, Chris.
Yes,
it occurred to me. My wizard mind spoke.
Oh, good.
Yanni just gave birth. There was 113, and now there's 2.
Oh,
13.
So we're about to break one off. We're about to break off a winning streak. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is that there is now not just Manny Machado, there's a mini Machado because he's on paternity leave and we hadn't heard about the joyous news. But now that I realize that 113 in our record has become 2 13s, I am confident that she just gave birth.
You're announcing it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're breaking this news right now?
I'm breaking the news. And
oh my goodness,
it might have been actually born at 1:13 today at 13:13 on the military clock.
Okay, this means that the Padres will have 13 All-Stars in this year's game. That's what
I thought what you were implying, Craig, was that like Yanni couldn't give birth until the Padres lost tonight. Until Jerkson Profar made the final out, and then we were 13-13. Then it's like the contractions were still too far apart. It wasn't happening, and now it's like bam, bam, bam. Get the OBGYN. Let's get this baby out. Mini Machado's coming.
I am not comfortable with this discussion of birth circumstances.
Okay, that's fair. But if you find out tomorrow morning that she gave birth tonight, you'll know. You'll know. You'll know. In that moment, I realized it. I felt a movement in the force. We'll see if my association with the force is as strong as I think it is from time to time.
All right.
Well, that made me feel a lot better about at least a game that made me feel absolutely horrible today, which otherwise would interrupted what would have been a super positive momentum Padres Hot Tub here, because the club coming off of 2 out of 3 lost to Toronto, but a good, solid Sunday win led by Joe Musgrove. Comes into Colorado, spins the wheels offensively on Monday, resembles the obnoxious, frustrating team that has annoyed us for a couple of years in ways and fashions, but pulled out a 3-1 win. Incredible pitching. Dylan Cease is great. Robert Suarez is great. You felt really good about it. The Rockies are terrible. We're actually beating bad teams. And then here comes Michael King. He's hot as a firecracker. Padres are feeling good. Ryan Feltner's no thing. Padres come right out, get 4 runs. Magic number. Had only lost 1 game all year, scoring 4 runs. Rockies stink. Hadn't homered since Hector was a pup. Like Bo Bichette was running around as a kid the last time the Rockies homered at home. It had been like forever. It had been a week, but it felt like that for Rockies fans. And here they come. Grand Slam. I'm telling you, speaking of weird things, today is, as we record this, April 23rd, is the anniversary of Fernando Tatis Sr. hitting 2 Grand Slams in the same inning off Chan-Ho Park at Dodger Stadium. And on my little pirate feed, the Padres feed today was out, and it was just the Rockies feed. So I watched the game on the Rockies feed, and they like talked about it 2 innings before, and like literally Ryan Spielberg's pulled up the play-by-play of the inning. It was like they were just saying like, how did Chan-Ho Park stay in the game to give up a
Don
second
and Mud
Grand
talked
Slam?
about the same thing. They had the same conversation on the Padres broadcast, all about
That's
like
hilarious.
how is he still in the game? Yeah,
that is absolutely hilarious. And there I was watching Michael King having surrendered a Grand Slam, facing the catcher Diaz with the bases loaded, and I was like, you know what? I think the baseball gods would be smiling on us in a way if the team that employs Tatis Jr. and Chan-Ho Park gives up 2 Grand Slams in the same inning on the anniversary of Tatis Day. Like, alas, it didn't happen, but the Padres still lost. I would have preferred that to the Padres loss that we enjoyed, a 7-4 loss.
My feeling watching Michael King get blown up tonight was not that it wasn't enjoyable, but I was less upset. It made me more upset about the Brewers game last week, is what I'm trying to say, poorly. It made me more upset about the fact that he spun 7 2/3 innings in Milwaukee and gave up 1 run, and he hung the L because the Padres couldn't put up anything and they got blanked. Because you know what? Like, Michael King just didn't have it tonight. I'm not going to excuse it. He just didn't have it. He was leaving his changeups in the middle of the zone. He was throwing high fastballs that were getting cranked. His fastball has not been an effective pitch this season so far. I have faith that it can be corrected. Also, it's Coors Field, and some nights you're just going to give up a Grand Slam. Like, that's just what happens. Like, and so to me, it's more of like the game of the last 2 weeks that I want back more than any is that Michael King loss in Milwaukee. Because if Michael King is going to be a more, let's say, mercurial, which is a word I have trouble pronouncing, mercurial pitcher, then perhaps we would hope and, maybe give some more sporadic starts here and there, then you're really going to want to win the ones where, he shows up and he's locked in. And the fact that we didn't, I think hurts a little bit more now having lost this one.
Yeah, that's fair. And we talked about it before, but Michael King doesn't have a good fastball. His 4-seam fastball, it's straight as an arrow.
Yeah.
Its movement is nothing. And when he gets swing and miss on it, it's because of opposite pitch anticipation. That's all it is someone is looking for something else and the fastball gets on him and surprises him. I'm sure he's going to have said it by the time you listen to this in a post-game interview. He made a horrible pitch on 0-2 to Brendan Rodgers. He could have gotten out of that inning. He could have gotten out of the inning. He could have struck out Rodgers, got out of the inning, or got a double play grounder, got out of the inning. 0-2, he put his worst pitch at the top of the heart of the plate. Like, he couldn't have missed in a worse place. And, I really like Michael King. But the thing that bummed me out was not Michael King having a terrible inning. It was that the Padres didn't respond.
Yeah.
This has been a team that's responded all year, and 6-4 should have been nothing. When they got out of that without allowing a second grand slam, then I was like, I think we're going to win this game. And when it was our turn, just behind the curtain to start recording banter, I was like, I don't really want to start recording banter because I was like, I think we're going to win. Like, I think we're going to come back and win this game, and I want to be locked in on this game when we come back and win it. And point of fact, some guy named Beeks, and I'm sure he and his mother are incredibly happy. Jalen Beeks, nicknamed Beaker, Fayetteville, Arkansas, 12th round pick in 2014. Jalen Beeks scored 3 hitless, effortless innings against the San Diego Padres tonight to pick up his second win of the year. This is the guy that we should have taken behind the woodshed immediately when he came into the game. And the Padres just turned into that. We were warning track Wally like the whole game, and we kind of have been for 2 games. I don't know if we have the pop with the crazy Coors Humidor that has the no-go juice in it that's just soaking these balls before the game to be thinking that we're up there swinging like Dante Bichette and Vinny Castilla. Like, our guys are flying to the warning track over and over, and line drives work great at Coors Field. I feel like we've drifted a little bit from the team mentality from the first 20 games offensively, and the resultant poor performance and scoring droughts, I think, are a result.
The result, just to be clear, was after that big inning at the bottom of the 4th, only 2 Padres got on base the rest of the game. Jackson Merrill walked, Jackson Merrill singled, and Cronenworth singled in the 9th. Those aren't quality at bats. Those aren't competitive innings. If you go back and look at it, lots of pops out, flies out, pops out. And I would hope that they would stick to the approach that worked for them all year long. And but I'm with you, Craig. The eye test were big swings. Luis Campusano grounding out a couple times with his big swing. And none of those big swings would have tied the game. And Nando had one too that he just missed, but yeah, you would have liked to have seen more base runners.
Yeah. The one that Nando just missed would have been a home run in just 3 of 30 MLB parks, but he had 4 hard hits tonight. Went 2 for 5 on the night. I agree with you, Craig. The team mentality offensively seems to be a little bit gone, except for, I would say, maybe looking towards the bottom of the order. I'm specifically thinking about Jackson Merrill, who went 2 for 3 tonight and is
Merrill.
unbelievable. Like,
so good.
He's so good. And I mean, talk about a guy who is, I don't think I've seen him like once swinging for the fences. And that includes the time he hit a home run this year. Like, he's just trying to put the ball in play. And we saw it happen last night. When he scored the insurance 3rd run in the game, it was a chopper to the 5.5 hole that was not great contact, but it got through. And it's that reminder that, 30% of the balls you put in play are going to be a hit. Like, that's just what happens when you put the ball in play. And that was the thing that was missing from this team so much. And it's so refreshing to see, Chris and I were talking a little bit about Merrill before we started recording. And, I agree with you, Chris, that like he could move up in the lineup. Like I would love to see him get more ABs. But honestly, at the same time, now that I'm saying this out loud in this moment, I love seeing him come up with runners on base, because like just putting the ball in play when fielders aren't in their optimal positions to defend, good things happen. And it's great to see from him.
I could almost see him hit 5th, to be honest with you, just because of that. But I'll tell you one thing that was really interesting. I know we talked about it earlier. Maybe it was on Banter, I forget. But my service happened to have the Padres one off today. And so I watched the Rockies broadcast. And Ryan Spilborghs, I don't know if you remember that name, but he was an outfielder for the Rockies and a couple other teams. Spilly. Ryan Spilborghs was talking about Jackson Merrill. And after he got one of his hits to left field, the question that Drew Goodman, the play-by-play announcer, asked was, when you watch his swing, who do you think of? And I actually thought Spielborgs had a really interesting answer. He came up with 3 names. He said Mark Kotsay, John Mabry, and Matt Carpenter. And of those, like, Kotz is a guy that I watched up close, for a period of 3 years. And I kind of do see it, but I actually think Merrill is a better hitter than Mark Kotsay was as a young player. Even coming in out of Cal State Fullerton as a great, great prospect. I think Merrill is a better hitter right now. I'm going to be really sacrilegious. Like, the swing he reminds me of is Anthony Gwynn. Anthony Keith Gwynn. He swings inside out. He hits the ball to left field on a line. Like, I'm not saying he's Tony Gwynn, but if you want to tell me what swing he reminds me of, like, he inside outs the ball. Adrian Gonzalez, he inside outs the ball. He rips it to left field on a line. John Olerud, his swing kind of does remind me of John Olerud.
Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley was the comp that people were saying. It's when he was in the minors and it looked like he was going to stay in the infield. It was Michael Brantley, but he's an infielder. Well, now he's a center fielder, and it's Michael Brantley, but he's a center fielder, which I love.
But even Kotz is like Mark Kotsay had, I think, 1,700 hits in Major League Baseball. And then later in the game there was a good drive by a Rockies player to deep center, and Jackson was right there. And again, Spielborgs was like, I'm going to be honest, I thought he was going to have trouble with that ball. He took a really clean route, and he got, like, he has been so good in center field. There's no bigger upgrade on this team than getting rid of petulant 192, strike 3 called, homer every 3 weeks. Sure, I made some catches, Trent Grisham, than Merrill, who makes all the same catches, but just way easier because his strides are like a half meter longer than Grisham's. So he just gets to balls for being 6'4" and running around like a gazelle. And he hits, I don't know, Paul Molitor, Mark Kotsay. I mean, like, he hits great.
Yeah, I come to mind Boggs, man, because that's the same type of line drive, high contact, effortless, easy swing, getting the bat wherever the ball is that I've seen. And, you nailed it. When you talk about upgrades on the roster, you have to hat tip to AJ for having the audacity to move another shortstop to the outfield. But Jackson Merrill showed that he could be trusted, and that trust is paid off. I wish there was an infielder who is taking to playing a new position as good. I mean, Xander's doing great. This isn't a Xander call out. What I mean to say is I don't like our third base position. It makes games tough to watch, and I don't like it.
Whatever is the problem, do you think, of the Wade Rosario Pauly triumvirate of terror?
Just nightly errors that lead to big innings in one way or another, man.
Okay,
it seems like it never ends.
That's a great transition. Letters to AJ, friend of the podcast, great blogger about this team. I think that's the right term still, right? Online columnist. Yeah. I don't know. Is blogger a bad word? No, it's good.
What do they call it? It's a WordPress type thing. What do they call
Substack?
It? Substack. There it is.
Yeah, Substacker. I don't want to give them all the credit. He's a creative author, but of great analytical stuff. And this team is being uncharacteristically bedeviled by misplays. It goes beyond the errors, and the errors have been bad. And 11 of 15 errors have led to runs, and the team has 17 unearned runs. And those are terrible numbers.
2 more tonight.
But tonight,
19.
2 more, there we go. So now we're up to 19. But tonight, that Cronenworth has to make that play. Like, he's been playing great defense, but so I'm not mad or anything, but like, missing that play was the difference in that inning getting to balloon status. And then, as it turned out, King fed a terrible pitch, and boom, the game went out of reach. But it was right there in reach. the Rockies are like a whipped team. Like all you have to do is keep them down, and they're down. But then you have to give them something for them to be able to take a game from you. And the Padres did that tonight, and they have to get better defensively, which leads me along your train of thought to talk about Graham Pauly. Cute idea, nice thought, send him home. Graham Pauly is not a big leaguer right now. 0 for 4 with 3 more Ks. He is a defensive liability at the hot corner. He's a legitimate minus defender at the position. No dissing the kid. He's never been a great glove. They're pushing him up to the big leagues, but I'll stick with 530 OPS Tyler Wade trying to make a play and Eggy Rosario over trying to push Pauly into the lineup. And frankly, I'll take, like, for example, today, Higashioka in the lineup and Campy DHing over trying to push his bat into the lineup. I don't think he's ready. He hit some homers at El Paso, but I'm sorry. I don't see the path right now for Graham Pauly.
Well, when Raphie and I got to go on the field with a couple of our patrons at the game we went to this weekend, Graham Pauly was the only player who came up to the line to talk with folks. So I will forever be rooting for him. He seems like a super nice dude who is going to do things, but I completely agree with you, Craig. Like, it's an overmatch. Like, he's not built up enough to the point where he can face major league pitching and high strikeout relievers. So, he's not going to help in the field. If you want Higashioka to be playing the game of catcher and Campusano DHing, then you want to have a third catcher on the roster. Otherwise, you could put yourself in a bad situation if Higashioka got hurt in the third inning or something. And they have a left-handed bat who is also killing at AAA, who could fill the DH thing if needed to, or just be on the bench and be your left-handed pinch hitter to Eggy Rosario's right-handed pitch hitter, because he's winning that spot. And he's outright winning that role on the team. And I'm going to be rooting for Graham Pauly. I think he's got a lot, and he is ripped, as Raphie immediately pointed out.
Dude is jacked. He's absolutely jacked unit. And the thing I'll say is, this is a quote from a piece that was posted in Fangraphs on January 8th of this year. That was the Padres' eminent big leaguers, and it ranked Graham Pauly as 45 feature value. And this is the second paragraph now. It says, quote, "The one thing standing between Pauly and the top 100 list is his infield defense, which is currently untenable." This was known about him. You know what I mean? And I don't know how much more educational it's going to be for Graham Pauly to go down to AAA from an offensive standpoint. Because he was there for a week and he was destroying worlds, and I have a strong suspicion that he goes to El Paso and he spends more time there and he will continue to destroy worlds. What I will say is that I don't think it makes sense for him to be here in our current alignment, and I would love for him to go down to AAA and learn how to play left field. Because that's where he has the biggest potential asset to the team. He would be a left-handed bat. He would potentially come and replace Jurickson Profar next year, should the Padres decide to go a different route. And he's not going to be an infielder. That's for damn sure. And I just don't know what else the plan is, basically, unless he's going to be our full-time DH. I do believe that Graham Pauly needs time to adjust to being in the major leagues. And that if he spent more time here and did get more plate appearances, he would improve. That being said, I just think he should be our left fielder in 2025. That's what I'm trying to say.
He just can't do that right now when they're down Manny. Bogaerts isn't going. Like, they need that. They need that spot in the lineup with somebody who is competent. And we can argue about Tyler Wade's competency, but the dude has had some clutch hits. He is a journeyman. He's adapted to just about every role you can throw at him on the team. So, well, if we need that guy, we got that guy.
And just really quickly, when we were at the game on Saturday and Profar got thrown out, and then this happened again yesterday because Manny's on the paternity list. I'm wondering what the hell our outfield depth situation is, because once a Zokar's in the game,
Yeah,
like,
what happens if he gets hurt?
Where there's nothing, and also what happens if someone gets hurt and goes on the injured list? Who's the next guy up from AAA to be playing in the outfield? Like, legitimately, I don't know.
Oscar Mercado.
I mean,
dog.
but
yeah, he was like the 28th guy out of spring training.
Can I offer a humble option? The Cubs designated Garrett Cooper for assignment today.
Hey, there it is.
They did.
How well would Garrett Cooper fit on our bench?
We got Solano coming, so
yeah.
Well, that's true.
Not
that's
that
true.
good.
But Solano's going into the starting lineup, man. I mean, he's going to be like the DH, or he'll take the Tyler Wade role. He'll be the third baseman when Manny's DHing, and I think he'll be the DH when Manny's third basing.
I think Garrett Cooper would fit great on this team, except for he hits on the incorrect side of the plate.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's what I think AJ's doing. Here's my pet theory. I think he's trying to showcase Pauly to trade him.
Yeah, and it's kind of backfiring a little bit. I think you're right, Greg.
Correct. I think he brought him up to Coors Field hoping he'd run into one, or maybe run into one or two, and just look like, and then go back to El Paso and hit another 12 homers. And then GM goes, well, yeah, he's hitting at El Paso, but remember when he hit 2 homers also when he got called up? So I think they were trying to spotlight him, and I don't think it's working. And the last time they tried to spotlight him, it didn't work at all. And he really has to find a helmet that fits, because every time he swings hard, it flies around his head, and it's like comically hilarious. So
what happened to a good old fashioned chin strap, kids? I know the pros are too cool for the chin strap.
Could you imagine if the trainer?
It's like the whole
chin strap to
for
himself.
One season. Wilt Chamberlain and Malcolm Gladwell did this on Revisionist History, I believe. I think I'm quoting the correct podcast. For one season, he threw his free throws underhanded, and it immediately made him better. Because he was a horrendous free throw player. But he stopped almost immediately because somebody probably said something. Like literally one person.
Because it looks goofy. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks goofy. One person said it. So if it looks goofy, you can't do it. But you'd be better with the chin strap, so just wear it. Just shoot your free throws underhanded, kids. Put on the chin strap.
Really quickly, kind of tailing back to Merrill for a second, but it also ties back to where the Padres get hot and cold. My buddy Joe Sheehan, who writes a great newsletter you can support, you can go to joesheehan.com if you want to check that out. Today's was about clutch. It was a Mike Trout focused column, but he went to the Baseball Reference all-time clutch scores, because that's an actual metric that they track at Sports Solutions. I don't think it would be that surprising to you guys to know that Tony Gwynn is the third most clutch player in the history of baseball. But that the top 5 is Nellie Fox, Tony Taylor, Tony Gwynn, Ed Rausch, and Pete Rose. Line drive hitters.
Yeah.
And again, going back to letters to AJ and a lot of what he wrote about last year, that an approach needs to change in a runners in scoring position situation away from the ideal, ultimate game theory, optimal, walk-in home run, load for power theory into one that sacrifices that in favor of contact. Well, the least clutch hitters in the history of baseball are Sammy Sosa, Frank Robinson, Jim Thome, Lance Parrish, A-Rod, and Mike Schmidt.
Bums. All of them.
Like clowns.
Right? Well, I mean, all Hall of Famers, right? Almost.
No.
Lance Parrish, no. Sammy Sosa didn't get there. But all power hitters.
Yeah.
Like, all incredibly successful, even Lance Parrish for his position, but like incredibly successful power hitters. And the biggest difference that makes this team so much more enjoyable to root for this year is it's not just what we talked about before, Trent Grisham for Jackson Merrill, but an almost equal example is taking Gary Sanchez out and replacing him with Luis Camposano. Like, for all the homers that Gary Sanchez hit, that was a second spot in the lineup that was producing nothing if it didn't produce a home run on the swings that were generated. And, you know, the more of those that you stack in a lineup, when you consider our DH, I think we had 3 of those popping all the time last year. Replacing those with contact hitters is everything.
Camposano certainly helped out a ton. But it would be nice not to push back on your point, because your point's good, but it would be nice to have him produce power at the rate he did last year, which he's not doing this year.
Talking about Campy?
Be nice if I hit my drive 30 yards further too, but you know.
But he's done it. He did it all last year, and you know, the only difference we can see, but we can definitely see it, is the stance. Coming back, I'm putting on the tinfoil hat. I'm putting on the tinfoil hat to take down the samurai.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of back up a little bit about what Chris is saying, Campy's average exit velocity is 6th percentile. He's the 15th percentile in terms of barrel percentage, 11th in hard hit, 10th in sweet spot. Like, his just raw, like, bat to ball metrics are bad. And the issue with that is that Campy's strength is raw power. And what I will say is, this is now pure eye test stuff, but when we were at batting practice on Saturday and we were watching, you know, all these guys warm up, Campy was the only guy who was consistently putting the ball into the seats. And like, you could just, 100%. Like you could just see it. And the fact that that's not translating on field right now does make me a little bit curious as to what's changing. I am willing to give it some sample size stuff. He is catching. He's playing 2 out of every 3 days as opposed to everyone else. But yeah, come back to me about a month from now, and if Campy hasn't improved, hey, it's still a lot better than Austin Nola. But
I would suggest it's what Craig's talking about. It's approach. Same with Xander Bogaerts. All his hard hit stuff's down. We've seen what Jurickson's doing. He's overperforming all of his expected data. I mean, Cronenworth, of course, is the guy hitting the ball hard, but everybody seems to be kind of going for the line drive, team focused, clutch approach. I'm not saying that's bad. It's the baseball I want to see, but it didn't get us they didn't do it today, that's for sure.
Well, here's one thing I know. If we had recorded this show on Sunday evening in our regular recording time, the lead topic of the podcast would have been Xander Bogaerts.
Yes.
And I'm happy now that it's instead at kind of like the halfway point of the podcast, because it's probably a better place for it. Because last weekend, Xander Bogaerts, as he has done throughout his San Diego Padres career, he was open, he was honest, he was forthcoming, he was detailed, and he explained his struggles right now in Major League Baseball. He's having a very difficult time with his swing. He's closing himself off. He's pulling everything to the left side, balls that he wants to and is trying to drive to the opposite field. He's hitting to the shortstop or flying out to the left fielder. He was struggling with a leg kick that he has since abandoned for a toe tap. And since he's done that in 3 games, he's taken his average from 190 to 198 at least, and has started to tickle 200 again, and I think is slowly beginning to dig himself out of a hole that he'll inevitably dig himself out of. Because
it was so
he's
impressive
Xander
that he
Bogaerts.
did it mid at bat.
Yeah.
That he just made that adjustment in the middle of the at bat and then was like, hey, that kind of felt good. I mean, because
he's been searching
hitter.
for it, right?
Yeah.
When you're searching for something, anything that gets you back to that good feeling is the thing you need. But point being, there's been a lot from people who are in bad faith and people who are in very good faith of outside analysis that Xander Bogaerts must have wrist pain right now that is leading to him not performing. Exit velocity down, average down, slugging down. He's got to be hurt. There's nothing to it. He's got to be hurt. People who know who they are were scheduling his surgery, scheduling his cortisone shot, and looking for Watergate-level conspiracies of hidden shots taken, all of this other nonsense. And then reporters did what I asked last week. They asked him the question. I mean, I talked to Annie. I was like, someone should ask him the question. She went, sat down one-on-one with Xander, asked him the question straight up. He said, my wrist feels great. I'm completely healthy. There's nothing wrong right now. He's lying. He's got to be lying. No, he then goes in explicit detail to explain what in his swing is screwing him up. And he goes, I can't hit the ball hard right now, and I'm pulling everything to the left side. And then he's proceeded to show that. So anyone who has struggled with anything physically in terms of this type of thing, a mechanical thing, a swing adjustment, someone whose golf swing goes awry, someone whose baseball swing goes awry, whose tennis swing goes awry, like these things happen at the toughest level of the world. And I was really excited to see that we have a superstar we've committed to that, at the very least, even if he's underperforming, is raw and honest and direct and like really, really forthcoming in terms of what makes him struggle and why.
I was happy to see him smile, Craig. I just want Xander to be happy.
Yeah. And when we were on the field on Saturday, I think, Chris, you were maybe still stuck in traffic on the way down. Xander was in the first group of guys who took BP, and he was, it was the morning that Dennis Lin had published the piece in The Athletic, where he said, I'm not hitting balls to the opposite field. That's, screwing with my swing, et cetera, et cetera. And Xander was basically exclusively trying to hit the ball the opposite way in batting practice. You could see it. And all of the balls were either going to center field or right field. He wasn't trying to pull anything. And it did so show me that he was showing up with intent. And I think, was I someone who on group therapy was concerned about Xander Bogaerts? Yes. Yes, I was. I'm not going to pretend like that didn't happen. And am I still just a little bit concerned? Yes. Yes, I am. But what I will say is, Craig, to your point, Xander has been nothing but honest the entire time he's been here. If AJ Preller were saying these things, I wouldn't buy any of it. But Xander,
wait, are you saying that AJ Preller was lying when he said he liked my mustache? Is that what you're insinuating, Raphie?
I can neither confirm nor deny that that's what he was saying.
What do you think about my mustache?
Did he say yeah, no, or did he say no, yeah?
He was way more effective at communicating.
Yeah, no, okay, that was the other thing. We talked to AJ Preller for like 90 seconds, and I was like, oh, the whole thing on the radio is an act. Like, it's really, there was no stammering, there was no yeah, no. Like, he was just like a cool, calm, I could see.
Were quick.
I got it. I got why Peter Seidler loved him, like everything about it. Like, everything. I saw deep into his eyes, and I understood.
Just like Bush and Putin, you looked into his soul.
I looked his soul. That's right.
We come here trying to humanize AJ Preller, and Craig calls him Vladimir Putin.
No, I guess so, yeah. And that means you're Bush. Sorry about it, Ray.
Me and Raphie, just a couple of bushes over here.
I've been called worse.
Oh man, does that make us like Rumsfeld and who?
It makes you Dick Cheney, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's cool.
One of us is getting shot in the face by the end of this podcast, so
that's fair.
We started this by saying I just wanted to say Xander is an open and honest guy.
But I want to give him a little bit of flowers with the second base play, that game-ending double play the other night.
That was great.
It was so good, and it was absolutely faster Kim pitching to Xander. Xander was there in the blink of an eye, and his arm may not be strong enough for shortstop according to local podcasts, but he got the ball there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transfer was good.
I'm not as worried anymore. Would I have put Kim up in the leadoff? I would have. If you do it tomorrow, I'd still think that Hassan could grab that role.
Jackson Merrill. What's happening? Oh,
I don't know,
goodness.
man. He hits too well.
Reflexes.
I didn't like when they put other great hitters. I'm not going to keep comparing Jackson Merrill to Tony Gwynn. It's completely unfair. He just really has a great line drive swing, and if I was going to do anything, I'd bet him third or fifth.
I like fifth, especially when Manny's back.
He's really good. He's really good. I'm excited for this. Honestly, I'm a little bit excited for Solano coming.
I just want to point out, while we're still on Jackson Merrill, that the next two Padres hot tub breaks will be looking for Jackson Merrill Bowman first cards. I've got 2 jumbo boxes of 2021 Bowman draft.
All right.
Specifically hunting for the Jackson Merrill card that is not Jackson Merrill.
Oh, a tricky one.
Yeah, it's an error card. They have some right-handed dude. No idea who it is. Might be Raphie.
Do you have any Bowman cards made of you, Raphie? I thought it would be a volleyball card. Do they mix those in baseball sets?
I am right-handed, so
that's the only thing I know about the guy. So
okay, fair.
He's not ruled out.
Rafe, do you know what Donovan Solano's on-base percentage against right-handers was last year?
Oh, okay. I don't, but I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess it's going to be something good, right? I'm going to guess 362.
Yes. 362 is the guess. I think I remember this exactly, but I'm pulling it for the precise answer.
I'm going to say 340.
It's 381, and I didn't remember it exactly right.
Oh, gosh. All right. That's
381, guys. 381.
This
is on base against righties last year. 346 against lefties with a 286 average. Hit 280 against righties. Donovan Solano can hit.
Wow.
Yeah. But Donovan Solano can hit. Like, he's a real hitter. 5 years in the league, and he hasn't hit less than 280. Like, as Bogaerts is a real hitter, Solano's a real hitter. And, like, the more I looked at it, this is so much of a better ad than Tommy Pham from a pure offensive standpoint. Now, the difference is, as Raphie was talking about, Donovan Solano's not going to play left field.
Yeah.
And we're still in a very, very thin outfield configuration right now where Sugar's the backup to everybody. But that said, I think he's going to do the thing that's going to extend the lineup even further. He's going to replace Wade's 530 OPS with a high on-base percentage and a good average at the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah, I like guys who have, a handful of career wins above replacement a lot more than I like guys that have negative career wins above replacement.
There was a Fangraphs article that I'm hastily trying to pull up right now that was titled something to the effect of like, hey, here it is. Hey, these Padres are still pretty good, which is a nice bit of ink to get, and also from a pure like baseball superstition standpoint, the kiss of death, as far as I'm concerned. Someone puts that, but one of the points that was made in the article was that with Donovan Solano in the lineup, the current Padres 1 through 9 are projected to put up 100 WRC plus or greater in every position except for Jackson Merrill, who's only projected at 96, and I'm going to take the over on that 1,000% of the time. Simply the projections haven't caught up to him being the absolute monster that he is. Exactly. So that would mean that we would have 9 guys who are projected to be above average bats. Like, that's pretty effing incredible for our lineup.
Solano makes 9. There it is.
We were just slightly off. We were a year
Yeah.
You're off track.
Completely different player profiles away.
The other thing that I think is happening that I'm very excited about this team right now, and to the most part, I'd say it continued today, that the bullpen has been really good.
Yeah, that leaky ship got patched up, didn't it?
Sure did, and everyone's found a role. I said this on the radio today, but I'll repeat it. It sounds weird, but I think getting rid of Pedro Avila was a huge help for this team. I think it was a gigantic help because Avila locked down a role that other people could take, slop relief, and that left like Mike looking at a collection of cards going like, well, where do I put these things? Johnny Brito, I don't know, 8th inning. Let's see what happens. Short relief. Like, no, that's your long reliever, Johnny Brito. Put him in long relief. Perfect. 3 innings, sinker balls working, comes in at the beginning of a clean inning, low leverage. He's looked really, really good. Okay, now we found a role for Kolek as well. Middle innings, he's focusing on the slider and the sinker. He's looked better. I know he gave up a run, but he still filled up a role today for San Diego. Morahone, they brought him back. Go look up his strikeout rate, Raphie. I think after today, he's like 38% strikeout rate right now in the big leagues. Like, Morahone's come up and struck out everybody. It's been a beautiful thing to see. Keep him in low-mid leverage because you've still got Matsui and you've still got Peralta and you've still got Cosgrove and De Los Santos has pitched well. And, buddy, I'll take Robert Suarez in a street fight over Josh Hader every day of the week. Every day of the week. I like where we are in the pen right now.
He's Venezuelan. Of course you would.
Fair. I mean, Josh would, yeah. He'd be like, I'm sorry, I got in a street fight 2 consecutive days. I must not get in a fight.
Well, Robert Suarez is like, I'll fight in the rain.
Exactly.
I was Baseball Savant has a really cool tool where you can kind of click on his outings and it'll give you like a little breakdown. I was doing it because of the fastball things. He now absolutely infamously threw 69 straight fastballs in a row before throwing a changeup this weekend. Yesterday, which was not.
Hang on. I'm going to let you finish, as Kanye famously said, but inadvertently you said something funny that I want to correct. He did not throw 69 straight fastballs in a row. He threw 69 moving-ass fastballs in a row.
Moving-ass fastballs.
Okay? Like, his movement is the opposite of Michael King, who we talked about earlier. His is all over the place, up, down, sinking. Like, he's got great movement on his fastball.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, this tool went over that. But the thing that I didn't quite realize is how high his release point is. Like, he has got like an almost, like, I'd say it's like 80-degree release point. So that fastball is coming down on you while it's also moving up or moving to the side or wherever he's putting it that day, depending on if it's a sinker or if it's the four-seamer. It looks absolutely terrifying to be a batter in the box against Robert Suarez. And to have him, for as long as he did, just go out there and say, I'm throwing you my best pitch. You're not going to hit it. I'm going to beat you. Was so incredibly badass that I'm stoked Bobby Billets signed that absolute steal of a deal. The best deal in Padres history.
I got nothing. I like Robert Suarez. He's very fun, and I like that he's our closer. That's my expert analysis.
Yeah, I'm fine with the closer role being his. We don't have to swap it around too much.
Craig, it appears you are a bit muted.
Well,
there you go.
That's why we pay you the big bucks, is not only to come up with insight and analysis, but to note when the microphone is off. Well, okay. We've talked about Bogaerts. Jurickson Profar is a big part of this team. He's on his inevitable path down to an OPS somewhere in the 700s.
Yeah, fine.
And I'm just very hopeful that it's a little over 710 because 710 is his career OPS. So I'd love him to have a better than average season. Maybe he'll 750 for us, and that'll be sick. Like, that'll be really good. He needs to be protected. It's another thing they talked about on the Rockies broadcast today. Like, just Jurickson in left field at Coors, like, no. I'm sorry, but he's lost that step. He's lost that step you need. So I wouldn't even mind to see Sugar back in the lineup tomorrow, just to cover the field a little bit cleaner. They did the Wade Pauly thing today. I don't know that Pauly's bat is actually better than Sugar's. To be honest with you, Sugar's hit really well.
No, he's hitting over 300.
Yeah.
So maybe
He
we
had
put
like
him
a
in for
900
both
OPS
reasons.
or something this weekend. It was crazy.
So let's keep him in.
Yeah.
Why not?
DH.
Let Jurickson DH until Manny and Minnie are back and Yane is back home and happy. And soon Manny will be back at third base, and soon Donovan Solano will be here. And I like. Oh, here's the one we haven't talked about before we should go. Dylan Cease has allowed one hit to a right-hand batter the entire season, and it was Tom Bleepin Murphy catching a hanger in the first game. Like, he has gone 5 starts without a right-hander touching him. He's only walked 5. It's crazy how good he's been. How perfect it is as a strategy to trade prospects for the best 2 or 3 years in the heart of a pitcher's career as they approach their first big bag, and to just soak up that value and then let them walk to the market. I am incredibly excited in retrospect in how we exploited Blake Snell and how we're about to exploit Dylan Cease and Michael King. Like,
we didn't exploit Blake Snell.
Yeah,
we
Blake was
the
getting
Rays.
paid. Yes,
right.
Snell was on a deal.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to lock into these guys. Take these years when their arms are healthy and their spin rates are huge and enjoy it. Cease is sick. This guy is great.
I'm on board the extend Dylan Cease train, as you guys would probably guess. I mean, really, the only Padres pitcher that comes to mind, like Jake had crazy shutout stuff, but he looked completely different. Dylan Cease totally reminds me of Kevin Brown, 1998 Kevin Brown, the way he is baffling pitchers, pumping 98 going into the 7th inning. You know, it brings a level of excitement that he's going to be there every 5th day. That when the team's playing a little funky like they did against Toronto, or knowing that he's going to be up against the best the Dodgers got. Like, it's like a wonderful little blankie, and I'm going to be holding on to it all year long, begging for it not to go away when I get older.
Before we shut things down, because I have nothing to say about Dylan Cease other than he's amazing. I agree with you that the trade was unbelievable. I loved reading what Dylan Cease said about pitching at Coors, and specifically him doing his warm-up bullpen and being like, okay, ball is moving differently here. I just need to aim a little bit lower, which I was like, I don't know why. He makes it sound so easy, like there haven't been 1,000 pitchers who have gone to Denver and it's been a meat grinder for them. And he was fantastic yesterday. And I'm glad to see that the Padres were able to reward him with a win, which is, of course, a meaningless stat that we care nothing about. But for some reason, it still makes me happy when the karmic justice happens where the pitcher gets the win. So I'm glad that he did that. I'm wondering if we can talk just a little bit about the road ahead for the Padres.
Sure.
Because we're in the middle of a Rockies series, and we're in a stretch that runs through Memorial Day, in which the only easy team that we play is the Rockies. I'm going to read it off for you guys right now, what our schedule very quickly is in the coming month and a half. We've played 26 games. We're 13-13. We have 2 more at Colorado. We have 3 at home against Philadelphia, 3 at home against Cincinnati. 3 on the road against Arizona, 3 on the road against Chicago Cubs, 3 at home against the Dodgers, 3 at home against the Rockies again, 4 on the road in Atlanta, straight into 3 on the road in Cincinnati, straight into 3 at home against the New York Yankees. That will put us at 56 total games in the season, and at which point we then play the Marlins and our schedule gets a little bit easier. My question to you guys is, what is acceptable for the Padres come Memorial Day? We're 500 right now, 13-13. We've played 26 of the 56 games that are going to be played by Memorial Day. What do you guys think?
27 and 29.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Rafe. Sorry, Greg.
27 and 29.
No, I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. They got to win the majority of those series, so they got to be at least 2 games over that. So the exact flip-flop. I want to see 29-27. With a sweep in there, a winning streak.
But are you? The question was what's acceptable. I just want to make sure that you guys are both answering the same question.
Well, my expectations are that they're a playoff team, and in order for them to do that, they got to beat playoff teams. So yeah, I don't. If I find something unacceptable, there's exactly 0 consequences for that. So, I mean, I don't. That's just what I would expect to see for the team they are.
There's dire consequences just inside your garage. It's limited to a locale.
No, there's really not. I'll still be out here.
I'll do the boring thing and say that if we're 500 at that time, if we're 20 and 28, I'm thrilled. I say that because we did that piece last year about Memorial Day being the point that it's no longer early, and something like close to half of the variability in the season is gone by the time Memorial Day comes and goes. And I think it's going to take 85 wins to make the playoffs. And so if you tell me that we're 500 at that time, then we got a chance. I think if Craig, if we're 27 and 29, I'm probably okay with it too. I think if we're 26 and 30, that starts to be my tipping point a little bit, where I'm like,
4 games under.
That's starting to be some ground to make up. Yeah.
Well, I picked that number on purpose because that's a really hard schedule. That's really hard. And it's not going to be as hard in the summer. Now, it's all about how you plan. The Padres need to keep stacking up 4+ run games. They're not always going to be at Coors. Michael King isn't going to always be a tire fire randomly. Am I nervous about the next 2 games? Absolutely. Cauldron and the Knuckle Bowl in Colorado, the Cauldron may not have any heat underneath it. I don't know. He could get completely lit up. And then that sets up a Randy Vasquez start to try and split a series. And that scares me in a day game. So I really wanted to see this win tonight. It fundamentally colors the week for me. This was King against Feltner. The Padres got 10 hits off Ryan Feltner and they only scored 4 runs. They didn't rack it up the way that they could have. Then the Rockies did the opposite, and this game went in the wrong column. So now the Dodgers wins minus Rockies losses for us is down to +2. We were up at +3. Now we're down at +2. And I don't want to see the number go down. These are really important games to win. The rest of them are important too, but you can get your form by drilling a bad team and then take that into the next series against the Phillies and feel good about the way you're playing, and come in and have a decent shot. You have to face Nola. You have to face Suarez, who's hotter than a firecracker this weekend. They're lefties, pitched 25 shutout in a row. So, but this team usually rises to the occasion, and I think they just have to get to that line drive approach, stick with that line drive approach, follow their precocious rookie. Everyone's got to hit that way. I think Bogey's coming around. Manny will be back by the weekend. And I overall, I know this team is better connected. They're a better connected unit. They're playing together. They're playing for each other. They have lost a lot of negative clubhouse influence, in my opinion. I think they've replaced it with guys who want this team to win. and are invested in this team winning. I think Profar and Merrill, the what they're doing for this team in terms of caring about it and wishing it success and being genuine in that, and not just being chasing the next paycheck and creating priority guardrails as to how you'll be used in order to maximize your success. Like, all of that is incredible in terms of raising the kismet of this team. And go Padres. You know, I'm excited where it's going. I really wish they had won today, but go Padres.
You nailed it, man. And Suarez can be in that as well. You know,
Absolutely.
in that kismet equation. It's contagious when these young dudes come up with that energy and that drive, that sense that of no jadedness in the attitude. You don't get any of that in the Padres dugout these days.
To end the show, can I just say that for the last 5 minutes, I've just not been able to get out of my head what was happening 9 months ago. And what happened 9 months ago was that the Padres swept the Texas Rangers in the end of July to break their slump. And what's happening 9 months later? Manny Machado's giving birth.
This is why I always call for winning streaks. They bring beautiful things into the
Their
world.
first sweep of the year last year is all I'm saying.
My, oh my.
Bonk.
Yeah, pause.
Anyway.
All right, for Manny and for Manny and for Yanni and for sweeps and all the good things that happen as a result. For Raphie and Chris, I'm Craig, and let's go Padres.